Hello and welcome to episode 1116 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, November 29th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Are we 11-16 or 11-17?
You put 15 for the one with Kevin Hastings and Jason, so
Oh,
I think
I'm
I, I
bad
think
at
I got it
math.
right. I
You
think I
got
got
it
it right.
right. I'm getting ahead of things.
Fair to question, right? I get the date, I get the number wrong. That's not an impossibility, but we got it right on this one. I did put 29th or 28th up there instead of 29th, but that's okay. We got another news and notes episode because we took the holiday week off. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving with everything. I know you've come out of it sick. Thankfully not COVID, but I know you're dealing with a bit of a cold. Jen dealing with the same thing. It's that time of year, right? You basically exist in the world, and you, of course, having children adds to your potential.
It's the kids' fault. I was telling my buddy last night. I was like, I did not get sick for a good decade before
And then you
having
get
children.
kids, and
Yeah. Well, part of it was I was, an alcoholic. And so the amount of alcohol I was putting in my system was like, it's a disinfectant, right? Like I was,
it's protecting me. This is
yeah,
a good thing for me.
the moment I put my eldest kid in childcare, it was like I got the worst flu of my
Game
life.
over.
Yeah,
Yep.
no,
It's game
it's
over.
been downhill for 10 years now.
But you sound good, so it doesn't sound like it's totally affecting you too much. And we did want to make sure that we came back with some news and notes because a few things have happened. In fact, a little move this morning. We are still going to get into position deep dives here. We're going to start with starting pitchers on Friday, but I figure since we've been gone for a while, let's cover some news. We got some moves. We got another couple trades. We have just a rumor on a guy, but I'm really curious your thoughts on him because we haven't seen this guy for a long time. And I do think once he signs, and we'll get to him in a moment, people are going to be like, "Hey, let's take a look back at this train." But let's start with the big moves that the Angels got up to. They are continuing to have they've already had a pretty big offseason. I mean, you go out and you get a pretty solid arm in Tyler Anderson. Then you make two trades for a right fielder and a third baseman. I'm not saying that's it for their offseason. It certainly shouldn't be, but that's a nice start to the offseason. They made two trades here, acquiring Hunter Renfroe from Milwaukee and Gio Urshela from the Twins. Let's start with the Renfroe move. A little bit of a surprise. I don't know that anybody saw him as on the block. I don't think we're always in tune of everyone that's on the block. Not everyone who gets traded has a, 2-week period of rumors before that trade. No offense to Hunter Renfroe. He's not somebody that we're following up to the minute trade rumors. So the fact that he was traded isn't the most surprising thing. It's just we weren't necessarily putting him front and center as a trade candidate. But he goes out to LA, and this makes some sense here because obviously they traded your boy Marsh and the continued struggles of Joe Adell. I mean, I don't want to say it's over just because I'll leave the door cracked for a 24-year-old, especially who doesn't even have 600 plate appearances. But I'm only leaving it a bit cracked. Like I'm just not that keen on Joe Adell really figuring it out in any sort of tangible way. You just don't rebound from a 35% K rate and 5% walk rate in 557 plate appearances at the pros. We'll see. It is still a small sample. But the bottom line was they needed some outfield. They go get Renfroe, who has really rounded into a hell of a player. When he first started as a Padre, he was a prototypical all-or-nothing power outfielder, corner guy. No real batting average, too many strikeouts, no walks, had the power, mediocre defense at best. Starting with when he went to Tampa Bay, by the way, this will be his 5th team in as many seasons, which some people say, oh, that's a negative. No one wants him. But then you go the other way and say, well, all these teams did want Renfroe as well. But he started with quality defense in Tampa Bay. It cost him his hitting, and I'm being tongue in cheek there. I don't think being good at defense made him go 141 BABIP. I think it was more the small sample than anything else. But he did improve his defense. Like, okay, Renfroe did that, but where did the hitting go? Well, he got it back in Boston. He put up a 113 WRC plus, and then a 124 last year in a career season. The only thing that kept it from being a magical year was injury. 125 games. So he only hit 29 homers after hitting 31 in 144 games the year before. But he has rounded into a nice batting average type guy, 259, 255 the last 2 years with 30 plus homer power and a quality enough fielder that the team's going to play him damn near every day. And as far as park factors go, this is going to be a pretty neutral move here for Renfroe. I think we associate Milwaukee as very positive, and I don't know what the reputation is on the Angels. I don't think it's regarded as particularly positive or negative. It's more neutral as reputation, but in play, it's about as positive as Milwaukee. This is going to be a pretty neutral park move here. What do you think of Renfroe as an Angel?
I mean, I love it for the Angels. I think he's got a great arm. Defense I think is fine. I don't think it played as well last year as maybe it had the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
If you look from a power perspective, you look at like his X home runs in Milwaukee versus X home runs if he had played with the Angels last year, and he probably gained 2 or 3 home runs. So yeah, I think it hurts a little bit in terms of like where he hits in the lineup. Like I think we have been projected like 6th or 7th right now.
And I get that. I totally get that. Like even if you say Rendon it can't be trusted to be healthy, you're still probably looking at 5th for Renfroe. But the players he's behind, it's much better than Milwaukee. Milwaukee's offense was surprisingly bad last year relative to their reputation and the fact that they were in contention most of the year. I think people, when you look under the hood, Rowdy Tellez had a good year. Adames wasn't bad, but they did not have a very good offense.
Oh no, that team was carried by their pitching.
Absolutely. And it was pitching and a few offensive guys. It was Renfroe, Adames, and Tellez. They were really the only 3 that were all that good.
And how bad is that offense going to look if the rumors about them wanting to trade Tellez and Colton Wong are true? Like, this could be a really, really ugly offense.
Are they like, okay, so when they made the Hader trade, I didn't really have any problems with it. I thought they were getting back a relatively comparable lefty, got a prospect, and they were saving some money. A lot of people want to say, oh, it's a sell. They're cutting bait. I'm like, well, they're not, because I don't think it really hurts them that much. They obviously didn't make the playoffs. Now they make this move. You're talking about maybe trading Tellez. Are they low-key clearing the books here out from under a potentially quality team with 2 aces and a budding stud in Peralta?
I don't know that I don't think that they're selling. Like, I don't think
they're going to reinvest this money.
I think I don't know that they're doing that either. I think this is like a Cleveland Guardians situation where
that's a good comp.
Where they don't want to spend the money. There are going to be people be like, well, it's small market. It's, that's bullshit. I had this argument with my dad during Thanksgiving. He's all like, oh, not every team can afford every player. It's like, bullshit. Look what the Padres just did. Like, the Padres have
called them small market for years.
Yeah, and now they're and now they've got 2 $300 million players, and that doesn't include like what they spent on Hosmer and other guys. Like every team can afford it.
It's a choice.
Right? Because we were talking about Judge. He's like, well, Giants are only one of the teams that can afford him. So no, every team can afford it. Every team can. But I do think that this is a team or an organization that wants to do things cheaply, and I think they're going to start to move some of these guys, especially because they do have guys coming up from the minors that are ready or pretty close ready. You got
especially in the outfield. Yeah, that's why moving Renfroe, doesn't immediately jump out as some sort of salary dump. When I saw the move, I was like, okay, that actually makes sense. Joey Weimer, a guy we saw in Fall League 2 years ago, Sal Frelick, who you mentioned, and Garrett Mitchell, who actually debuted in the majors this year. That's 3 damn near ready outfielders that they can have up. They should all be in the majors at some point this year. And so that does make it less of a dump here with Renfroe specifically.
And I mean, with a guy like Tellez, as much as we love Tellez and he was a great fantasy option, like from a real life perspective, like we saw CJ Cron a few years ago have 30 home runs and then get, non-tendered. Then like offseason, like it's a dime a dozen kind of guy. Like,
we saw this exact team take Chris Carter and unceremoniously dump him after he led the league in homers.
Yeah.
And Tellez didn't lead the league in homers. So I feel you on that. They understand how relatively easy it is to find a power hitting first baseman.
And you have Keston Hiura on the roster.
Yes.
Like, I mean, so like I don't think they're selling because I don't know that you can take 2 of the top 10 pitchers in baseball in your rotation and some other really intriguing guys, right? They just gave money to Aaron Ashby.
Yeah, Peralta has shown the flashes of greatness. Lauer as a 5 is so good.
Like
so they
the
have
rotation
a great
is,
rotation.
Yeah, it's arguably the best in baseball. So no, I don't think they're selling. Like I don't think this is a Cincinnati Reds situation. But I do think it is kind of a Cleveland Guardians situation where they've got a certain payroll limitation that they want to stick to. They know some of these guys who have had good years in arbitration are going to get paid a little bit more, and so getting rid of some of the older guys, Colton Wong's great. I love Colton Wong, but like, they've got Ruiz that they just traded for. They got Rosario. They just got Rosario. They traded for. Like they can, one of those guys can probably handle second base. Or they can move Luis Urias back over there. You can play second base. So like, I just think there are a number of these guys that I think we're gonna be like, whoa, what are they doing? But at the end of the day, I think they're just trying to be quote unquote smart with their money. And
the outfield especially makes sense. Like they should maybe consider trading Tyrone Taylor too, because again, they've got 3 guys ready to come up. Keep Yelich, have Mitchell and Weimer up on the team early, and then you got Frelick ready to come up at some point during the season.
Only problem is both Frelick and Weimer are not on the 40-man.
Exactly.
So I think I got a question in my chat on Monday.
They do have 2 spots.
I'm now chatting on Mondays.
Yes,
so
you're chatting on Mondays. Probably going to move from 12 Eastern to 1 Eastern.
Yeah,
though, right?
1 Eastern. It'll be 1 Eastern moving forward. But someone asked me like, well, where how soon do we see Weimer? How soon do we see Frelick? And then Ruiz was the other one he asked about. I was like, Ruiz is the only one on the 40-man. So I think Ruiz breaks camp with the team. Garrett Mitchell breaks camp with the team. The other 2 guys probably go down to the minors, at least for the start of the season. I think Frelick could force his way up. I'm not as big on Weimer.
I'm a bigger Weimer guy.
I think Frelick is a dude. So I think Frelick could force his way up pretty early, but I don't think either of those guys are up before like the end of April, maybe even before Memorial Day.
It'll depend on need, really, because they both hit AAA for about 40-something games, and they crushed. Yeah. So, I wouldn't even be too surprised if one of them found a way to break camp if they moved like a Tyrone Taylor. Like Garrett Mitchell's already penciled in at center, and then Yelich and Taylor on the corners. If they want to use one of the rookies instead of Taylor, I could see that, but otherwise that's it. Jansen Junk, Elvis Peguero, and Adam Seminaris went back. None of them really moving the needle. They were 7, 18, and 33 on the Angels prospect list coming into this year. Junk being 7, Seminaris being 18, and Peguero being 33. Peguero, sinker slider guy, could be a leverage reliever at some point, but I don't think he's going to displace Williams. So I don't really see anything here that's fantasy relevant going back to Milwaukee.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Junk, I think, is an interesting guy, even though he blew up my main event team when I streamed him. But right as things stand, he's probably like their 7th or 8th starter. The rotation is just too deep. I mean, like they still have Adrian Hauser.
Hauser's just sitting there as a 6, and that's a pretty damn good 6.
So I just think he's probably 7th or 8th on the pecking order right now. And so he would need a couple injuries or something like that to move into the rotation. So I don't think any of these guys. Back to Renfroe though, like I think Renfroe is one of these power hitters that is a bit underrated. He's got like a league average zone contact, a ton of power. His defense is going to keep him on the field. And like you said, Adele has just shown he is not ready to be an everyday major league outfielder. So I think,
and again, you rarely dig out of a hole like that with that kind of strikeout rate. Like we just don't have precedent of guys climbing out of that kind of hole, even for a small sample, 500 something plate appearances, and becoming like a 24% K rate type guy. He's at 35 right now.
And one of the other issues with Dell is he's atrocious defensively.
So he's not good.
Like you would think a guy with his speed and his athleticism would be a really good defender. He's not. He's not a good defender at all. He's just really bad at tracking the ball.
Imagine if he didn't have the speed and athleticism to cover some of the margin for error.
Yeah,
that'd make him even worse. I think you make a great point on. Sorry, one thing on Renfroe. 153 is his ADP.
I
36th
love
outfielder
I
off the
love his
board. I
ADP.
think that's a great price. What was the last thing you were going to say on Adele? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say the same thing on Renfroe, which is the ADP I think is prime for picking, and I think while he may get a little bit of movement up just because his name was in the news, he could get some movement down because there are going to be people like, well, he's leaving, Milwaukee. It was a playoff, caliber team going to a bad team, and
And park
Milwaukee's a great
reputation too,
park,
like I
yeah.
said. Yep.
But
I think
at
people
the end of
put
the day,
Milwaukee up here and they don't have a read of where Anaheim is.
yeah, I think he's going to hit 30 home runs with a 250 batting average. So, like, I think that has a lot of value.
I think Renfroe has really strong 40 homer upside. If he
Mhm.
finds the health, which that has been a struggle. He got hurt last year and has had some missed time. But if he can play $150, I think there's 40 homer power there. With Urshela, they gave back even less in that deal. So let's just focus on Urshela. We haven't penciled in as the shortstop right now, with Rendon at third. Obviously, Rendon is a huge question mark because of his health. Do you think Urshela plays shortstop for them over 30 games?
If they don't make a move, then yes. But I think they're going to make a move. One last thing on Renfroe, I was just looking it up as we were finishing time. Hit 329 when there wasn't a shift in place.
Ooh.
Now, there will be shifts. Like, you just won't see huge overshifts. So, like, I don't want to say, like, hey, bump up the batting average. But maybe we can bump up the bat. At least he can keep the what we've seen, which is, like,
these 250s with 30 home run power is excellent in today's game.
Right now, Steamer projects him for 240. So, like, I'm above that. But Urshela, I think they're going to go out and get some. I think he can play a really, really good third base. I don't know that he has got the range for shortstop, especially on a daily basis. I feel like there's another move coming, even if it's like a smaller move to pick up, like, you and I kind of joked about it prior to the start. Like, I don't think they're going to necessarily be in on any of the big name guys. Like, I don't think they're going to be on Swanson or Correa or Turner, because Art Moreno is trying to sell the team, and I think they want to pick up another big, necessarily huge contract, one of those guys, especially long term. But, like, I could see, like, an Elvis Andrus. Like, I could see them, like, go get a guy who, is league average with a bat but plays pretty decent defense still. Kyle Farmer obviously got traded already to Minnesota. I mean, we saw Minnesota last year traded for someone and then trade them away with Isaiah kind of Falefa. But a Kyle Farmer type, a guy who is probably below league average to the bat and, plays good defense to try to help that pitching staff out a little bit. And then I think Rendon gets moved over to first, and plays there. And I think there's got to be some serious concerns about Jared Walsh. We don't have any news yet about how he's doing or anything like that. And there's just no track record to point to on how hitters return from thoracic outlet. We know that pitchers can struggle back from it. We've only had a few examples of guys who've actually been able to come back from that surgery and be anything, like, much less like be good. I think Alex Cobb is the only one who's been good since returning. It took him a while to get good. And so I think maybe it just takes a long time to recover from that and feel back to yourself. And guys just don't get those opportunities late in their career, especially. So I wonder that even if Walsh is good, like, he could be in a platoon situation too. I just think there are a lot of concerns on Jared Walsh with this kind of move, because unless they are going to roll with Urshela because it's short, but I just don't think I don't think he's built for it. I think he's a really good third baseman, and I just don't know that he's got the range for short.
And you were saying that you thought maybe Urshela over at third, then you push Rendon over to first.
Yeah.
And that costs what's his head some time.
Yeah.
What's his head
Walsh.
being Walsh, excuse me. Yeah, no, I think there's some real potential to that, because I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, well, wait, what's going to be the move here? And that would make some sense, especially if they are worried about Walsh. Bottom line is they do have some flexibility there. We'll see what they do. And if they do bring in somebody else who could man short on more of an everyday basis. With Urshela, again, gets a park move, an even bigger park move than Renfroe, of course, because American Family Field, where the Brewers play, is better than Target Field. In fact, it's quite a jump, especially on home runs specifically. He's going to go, Urshela is from the 23rd home run park for righties at 87 park factor, all the way up to number 7 at a 112 park factor for Angel Stadium. And again, that's for righties specifically. And he's not some big power dude, but you could be looking at maybe a return to the 21 homers that we saw in 2019 from Urshela. And I know that was rabbit ball infused, but maybe just the better park. As long as he's playing, another 500 plus plate appearances, upper teens, low 20s home run rate with a good batting average for Urshela. So I still like him as a fantasy asset. I do agree that if they do want to put him at short every day, that could be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to this big move. Now, I think people were surprised by this due to the tenure of the deal, the 3-year aspect of the José Abreu deal. But Abreu going to Houston, them getting a first baseman, that doesn't surprise me. We knew they were going to be in the market. And they go one old for another, going from Gurriel to Abreu. But make no mistake, this is an upgrade. Abreu is better than Gurriel. And the simple fact is, the White Sox didn't bring him back, not for anything against Abreu. He's just an older guy who, clearly was looking for 3 years. And they've got a ton of guys crowding the first base DH area with Vaughn, Sheets, Berger, Eloy Jimenez, and maybe even Grandal. If he's compromised it for any reason behind the dish, then he's fighting in on first DH as well. There was no world where Abreu was going back to the White Sox. So I don't see this as like, oh, the White Sox didn't want him, he sucks. I just think it made too much sense with where they're going. And he's a great fit for Houston. And I think that if he figures out, if Abreu, becomes more of a pull hitter at home and realizes how nice those Crawford boxes can be, then I don't even know that the park factor switch is going to hit him that hard. It is definitely a switch. It is definitely a dip going from Chicago to Houston, but you can mitigate it if you lean on that pull field there with the Crawford boxes. Just ask Alex Bregman about it. So I like this Abreu move. I think he's going to continue to be a high batting average guy with solid pop, and then the runs ribbies should be great on a great lineup. What do you think of Abreu jumping into that Houston lineup probably in the 4 spot, which is where we have him penciled in right now?
If he had played all his games in Houston, he would have had 22 home runs instead of 15 yet.
There you go.
Because a lot of his issues in terms of power this last year was he was just spraying the ball. Mm-hmm. But he sprayed a lot to left field when he did spray. So he could take advantage of those Crawford boxes. And now trying to do that, I think you could see him, get back to like a 30 home run season potentially. I love this.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I love this move for him. Like he's not that he was in a bad lineup. The White Sox were, pretty good lineup when they were healthy.
They underperformed, but it was because of health. I totally agree with you.
This is easily one of the top lineups in all of baseball. And I don't think they're done adding. We're going to talk about a guy that they're being rumored, because what do they need? They probably need a left-handed outfielder right now.
That gives you a little idea of who we're going to talk about.
Little tease right there, because they're very, very right-handed, this team as constructed. So I think they only have 2 regular lefties in the lineup projected right now. But yeah, no, I like this move. Obviously, Andrew Vaughn's value is going to go up. José Abreu's value is going to go up. In relation,
maybe a little bit more confidence in like Sheets. If you liked Sheets as a late round guy, maybe you have a little bit more confidence in his playing time now that Abreu is officially gone.
Yeah, I think that I'll be interested to see. I mean, the White Sox, obviously, we're going to talk about another move that they made here shortly. Like, are they going to make an offensive move as well here? Because right now we've got Oscar Colas as the guy that we project to be in right field.
I like Oscar Colas a lot, but he's a bit of an all or nothing kind of guy. So we'll see if he's ready for opening day. I could see them. Honestly, I could see them going for more of a middle infielder, though. And
Colton Wong would look actually pretty good.
Go for that second base fill in, and then I know they don't really want to, but never mind. I was going to say they could put Sheets in the outfield. This actually has Eloy penciled in the left. Eloy should not touch the outfield. He should be pretty much a perma DH. And I know it's hard.
They told him already, don't bring your gloves to spring training. You're not.
Okay. Then
he is going to be the full-time DH.
We should tell Jason that. And I think if he missed that news, because he'll put him into the DH role there for Eloy. But let's talk about their other move that they made there. With the White Sox getting Mike Clevinger. It's not an offensive move, but it's a pitching move. So, they're not signing Abreu to be cheap or anything. They're just going to reallocate the money, and some of it's going to go to Clevinger. Now, Clevinger's coming off of his worst season or a very bad one. Let's see. Outside of his rookie campaign, 53 innings, when we didn't really know who he was, since he emerged in 2017, this is far and away his worst season from an ERA standpoint, 4.33. The 120 whip still wasn't too bad, though. Like, that's not a terrible whip. It was home runs and a lack of dominance that really hurt him, though. 1.6 on the homer per 9 rate, which is just sky high. And his strikeout rate, Justin, dipped to 19%. I know a lot of it is the health, right? He lost a mile and a half off the fastball. What's up with Clevinger, and do you trust him at all going to the White Sox with Ethan Katz and company?
Yeah. At this point, I don't trust him at all.
I don't either, to be honest.
And the beauty of things is I can tell you exactly what I've projected for it.
Yes, you can.
I'm pretty darn close to being done with my starting pitcher projections. And those of you who are on the Patreon and want my ranks, my starting pitcher ranks have now changed to reflect my projections. And so there's some big changes. I'm projected for 135 innings, which I think is pretty fair considering he hasn't even thrown that much at the major league level since 2018. 8 wins, a 122 whip, and a 4.40 ERA. So not great.
Wait, so even worse than last year. So you're really out on Clevinger.
I mean,
I can't blame you.
You look at some of the ERA indicators, and they are markedly worse than even what I projected them for. XFIP of 4.76, a FIP of 4.98, Sierra 4.49. He without that velocity. Now the velocity comes back, and maybe we're talking about a different guy, but
sure.
He gave up 85% zone contact, which is around league average, but a lot of that contact was hard. And very, very little as well. Soft.
So he's not a young buck trying to get back here. He's in the decline phase, trying to recover some of that lost velo and everything.
And we're talking about a pretty bad park change. So I think that the division's a good place to pitch, right? But it wasn't like pitching in San Diego. Yeah, you avoid Coors, right? You're not going to start him at Coors, so you're going to avoid that anyways. And you were going to start him against the Dodgers, but like you were still starting him against the Giants and the Diamondbacks and whatever other. Oh, the Rockies at home. But it's not like that was a really tough division when he doesn't have to go against his own team, right? And you're avoiding a lot of the potential blowups in Colorado or just versus the Dodgers in general. So I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's a much better division to pitch in." I don't know that it is. To be honest, and it's definitely not a better park to pitch in. So I'm not a big fan of Clevinger this year. I think he's still living off some of the name value pre-injury.
Oh, no doubt.
And
I totally agree with that.
At this point, like, what can you project him for innings wise? Like, I project him for 135. I feel like that's being pretty generous.
I went 133. We are not dead even, but we are right there in lockstep on these innings here for Clevinger. And I share in all the concerns. He's not someone I'm really looking at. obviously spring could change that. Like you said, the velo's, if the velo's back and he's looking more like previous Mike Clevinger, I will adjust. But as it stands right now, I'm coming in pretty cautiously, and I'm not inclined to make a big sweeping change on that until I see something to make me.
For reference for people, my projection put him at my 107th pitcher, starting pitcher.
Wow.
So that's behind JT Brewbreaker. That's behind Ken Waldichuk. Behind, you know, his teammate Michael Kopech, who I don't even like, you know, behind Jose Quintana. Like, I mean, yeah, there's so many other names I think I'd much rather have than Clevinger.
I'm going to see where. Now, I haven't done all mine the way you have, but just kind of looking, because I did update Clevinger's after he got moved. It has him at 80 right now, and that's without. That's what I've done, like 25.
Yeah, difference between 80 and 107 is like not.
And he's probably going to move down, because I'm already seeing guys behind him that I'm going to move up. Yeah, just based on like
it's a really, really strong starting pitching year. Like you can make
it feels really good.
You can make the argument that you can, especially in your shallower formats, that you shouldn't touch a starting pitcher for quite a while. Like you do a Nick Pollock, right?
I was gonna say Nick Pollock's dream.
Yeah, like this is the perfect season for those of you playing 10 and 12 team leagues. To just say, I might take a stud, but other than that, like I'm probably not going to take a starting pitcher in my first 5 to even 10 rounds. Like, I just think it's such an easy year to kind of play in the bottom of the pool. Now, I don't think you necessarily should do that, because I think it puts you behind teams like just a little bit too far. But I think you can make the argument for it.
If you want to put in the work, right? If you are in a shallower league, you want to be going nonstop at churning and trying to find your pitching that way. That you're saying the pool is there for that.
I think if there was ever a year to think about doing a Labadini and Tout Wars, this might be the year.
Ooh, okay. And
I'm not saying
what the Larry Labadini is?
Yeah, so Larry Labadini back in the 90s in Tout Wars put together a $9 pitching staff. So
there was fantasy baseball back then?
Yeah. I think it was the 90s. Maybe it was early 2000s.
No, it was the 90s. You're right.
And he almost won the league. And people have tried versions of it. The hard part with the Labadini, especially in this day and age, is getting saves. But I may try to pull that off this year just to see if I can do it.
Do it.
So
do it. Okay, let's continue on then and talk about the guy we've rumored at Houston looking at. No signing yet, but I do think Houston and division rival Seattle being interested in Michael Conforto is enough to talk about him, because obviously we'll go deeper when he does sign. But I'm just kind of curious where you're at on him. We see that 2 premium teams are at least interested. You know, some rumor mongering on MLB trade rumors about Conforto. I don't know what that market's going to look like in terms of price. I've never been great at guessing prices in general. Now you throw a guy who hasn't played for a long time and has been dealing with injuries a long time. He hasn't played since 2021, but he was also bad that year. So the last time we saw him good was in the COVID shortened season. So we don't really know what we're dealing with here with Conforto. Mariners and Astros, 2 teams that have been rumored right now. You mentioned how much of a perfect fit he would be for the Astros as a left-handed corner outfielder if he's healthy. Remember, he was discussed about getting picked up this year, but then the health ended up being worse. And so he ended up, throwing it out completely. Didn't he get like another surgery after that or something? Am I wrong on that?
I feel like that was the case.
I want to say like there was an issue, and then it's like, oh no, he's more hurt than we thought. So then boom, scrap all of 2022. But so he's coming off some injuries here. Couple things. One, are you drafting Conforto in DCs right now, sight unseen? 2, what do you realistically expect from him, coming into this year? Let's assume there's a modicum of health that's worthy enough for Houston or Seattle to sign him. Where would you be? And would a good team signing him encourage you?
A good team signing him to a long-term deal would encourage.
Oh, that shit ain't happening.
Yeah, if he gets a pillow contract, like we talk about this all the time, like there's no such thing as a bad 1-year contract.
Yeah, because you're just not committed.
Yeah, I don't know that I would be super enthused by that.
The article said that Boris suggested that he's looking for a 2-year that allows him to opt out after the first.
There you go.
You know, like, okay, if he pops off instead of getting another 12 mil, like a 2-year 24. So I don't know. Again, I just guessed the numbers. I'm not great at that. But like if it's something like that, he could opt out for that second year if he comes back and puts up a 130 WRC.
Maybe it's like 2 years, 25 million.
Something like that.
If that
he made in 21, he made 12.3 mil. So yeah, 2 years, 25, kind of keep him at that same price. And if you prove that you're good to go after the first year, you can opt out and try to make more money. That makes sense why Boris would be looking for that from Conforto. So what do you realistically expect though? Because again, his last season also wasn't very good. 125 games of a 100 OPS plus for Conforto in 2021, after he had really come into his own for that. You look at 17 to 20, he was one of the best hitters in the game during that 4-year period. So what do you think of Conforto? What can he do once back?
I don't think we know. I think that's the big question. I think he's a huge crapshoot. There's obviously huge upside, but there's obviously huge downside. We've seen kind of both flips of the coin. And with that shoulder injuries are tricky. I know we worry more about shoulder injuries with pitchers, but with hitters,
I am terrified on either side.
Yeah, anybody like I have reoccurring shoulder issues from football and the military and things like that, and they are constantly a problem. And surgeries don't always fix the issue. Just ask our good friend Jason Clevinger.
I was going to say Jason also deals with those issues.
Yeah. So here's the thing: like right now, he is a dart throw, but he's going a little bit higher than I thought.
Thank you. That was my next question. Is 243 a good enough ADP for you to take that dart throw on Conforto? I'm saying no personally. It sounds like your voice tells me that you're leaning no as well.
I think he's like right on the precipice of like being worthy, but like there are guys he's going around that I like a lot more.
Immediately behind him, all three guys I like: Gurriel, Benintendi, Lux, Peterson. All four. I'm easily taking over Conforto.
Lars Nootbaar is going 210.
That's one of your guys.
Ramon Laureano going 222.
I'll tell you somebody I like. I got somebody going 60 picks later than him that I prefer straight up. Jake Fraley.
Yeah,
I'm fully back in on the Jake Fraley train. I don't feel. I actually feel like the finish to his season, justified my hype on him coming into the year. Injury was the thing that beat me. He didn't play. He played 68 games, but once he came back, he looked very good. I'm still very excited about a full season of Jake Fraley in that park. I might not get a full season, but I'm going to take the bet. He put up a 903 OPS after he returned from injury with 11 homers and 3 steals. That's a 34-9 full season pace. I don't think he's going to hit 34 homers, but I also think he's going to steal more. So I would take Conforto straight up, I would take Fraley straight up over Conforto, and Fraley's 60 picks cheaper. I just don't know how Conforto's price doesn't start with a 3 based on what we've seen and haven't seen.
Be, if he was going right 100 spots later, right with someone who's a really interesting comp for him in Austin Meadows, that would make a lot of sense.
I looked right at, and I was going to tell you, are you taking 347 Austin Meadows or Conforto 242? You got to go Meadows, right? Just on the price alone.
I think you could make the argument. I think I will make the argument. I'd take Austin Meadows straight up over
exactly
Conforto, so because he's at least played some, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't.
Here's another interesting one as far as like comps. They have different injuries, but we're worried about Alex Kirilloff and the consistent wrist issue. He's at 406. I like that a lot better than Conforto at 242. I know we're beating a dead horse at this point. You hate him?
Because like, what has he done? Like, on top of being injured, at least Conforto has shown he can be good at the major league level.
A long time ago, though, and he's I just don't think Conforto is going to be that guy, so I don't give him a whole lot of credit for that work at this point because I don't know that we're getting that guy.
Like if Kirilloff stayed healthy and put together, I don't want to say like 90 percentile, but like 70 percentile. I don't even know what that is because he just has not been. He's not played enough in the majors to really have any clue.
That's fair, but I think an upper end area is like a 285 average with 18 homers and decent runs ribbies.
I think that's fine, but that's not the upside I'm shooting for with like a 70th percentile.
It's kind of what Conforto did in that 4-year run. Or
Yeah.
actually the power. It's actually not quite, because in 2017 to 2020, Conforto hit 265 with an average of 24 homers, and I said upper teens homers with a better average. So it's close. It's a little bit different there. But bottom line is, again, we don't have to beat the dead horse. I think we're out on Conforto at that price. He signs with Houston tomorrow. What is your reaction if that happens?
I think his price goes to the fucking roof, and I won't touch.
And so you could never get him then. Yeah, if he's
No.
already here unsigned, we know he's going to go up when he signs. Everyone does, even a little.
Especially if he signs with a contender.
Unless you're a pitcher who signs with Colorado, or whatever. There's outliers, but for the most part, in the NFBC market, when you sign, you go up. There is a discount to being unsigned, so you instantly go up a little bit. If he's already 243, 242, I can't pay what the Houston price is going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing my ADP market trend articles probably later this week,
right? Because December is usually when I can't believe we're already in December, by the way.
Yeah, I'll probably have my first one out either Thursday or Friday, probably Friday, because December 1st is Thursday. So, but yeah, anytime a player is in the news, I was talking about this with somebody. Like, it doesn't even have to be for like a good reason. They go up. Like, that's just typically, unless they really get traded to a place where they're going to lose playing time or something like that.
Yeah.
Conforto, the moment he's in the news, he becomes a top 200 pick.
Gross.
And I just, even with outfield being so bad, there's no way I'm doing that.
Yep. The same guys that we talked about are then going to have a bigger split from him price wise, and there's just no way. So I wish Conforto the best, and if I see him looking like the 2017 to 2020 Conforto in spring, I will adjust. But right now, on November 29th, you couldn't get me to pay that price for Conforto.
Yeah.
All right, we've seen a couple non-tenders sign, including a former Tiger. We've got Jeimer Candelario going out to the Nats on a 5-year deal with incentives that could put a $5 million 1-year deal with incentives that could push it up another milli. He was a huge disappointment for folks. People bought in after his 2021. Understandably, it was a really nice season coming off the 2020 as well, which of course was the shortened season. Got a taste of what he could do. He put up a full season, near that 2020 level. People were pretty excited, and he cratered this year. And he was one of your big, power guys, mediocre power guys getting hit by the power dip. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, he and Scope just fell apart in this universe with the squish ball. Now, this is a nice park move for Jeimer Candelario as a switch hitter. What do you think of Jeimer Candelario as a Nat? Are you excited by this? The playing time should be there. He's going from one bad team to another. They're trying to buy on the discount here. Are you interested in buying at his rebound price, which Candy is going pretty cheap right now? I'll get the exact number, but what do you think of Candelario as a Nat?
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little emotional.
You're choked up about Candy.
It's not about Candy. It's about my boy Carter Tebow.
Oh, that's right. That is what it's about. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize you were in mourning right now.
Yeah,
he's in trouble now.
It's just not gonna happen. He's 24 and it's just never gonna, or 25 now, and it's never gonna happen for
probably
my
not.
boy.
Probably not. 24 isn't even old, but it's just
age 27. You watch out for Carter Tebow.
I'll write a whole article about it.
I love the park change for Candelario. Like, I mean, you've got to love the park change, because I think, one of the things we've tried to talk about a lot in the last year or so is just like how good of a hitter's park Nationals Park is. And
I will say this though, it's funny that the year that we gassed it up, it fell off a little bit from 20 and 21, but overall it's way better than Comerica, right? So even though it did come back to the pack a bit, it's still a big upgrade. He's going, from 24th to the 15th park over the last 3 years.
Yeah, so he would have had 17 home runs as opposed to the 13 that he got.
4 more is a lot. And just for reference, these are 3-year running averages. And coming into the year, Nats Park was 5th. So it did have a big fall off this year. It did, and park factors do change like that. I know that shocks people that you think that they're static. all sorts of different things can come into play. Architecture can change things, scoreboards, wind patterns change, obviously climate patterns change. So things can change. Nats Park did go down a bit. It's still an unquestionable upgrade for Candelario, though.
And I think one of the big things too is he's probably going to hit 5th in this lineup. He's going to play
third. They already guaranteed me I'm hitting third.
Oh, nice. I mean, you could, with the way this Nats lineup is shaping up. They have a guy who is projected at 7th that I don't think is a real player.
Not a real player. I think Jason's just putting guys out there to see if we're paying attention.
His name is Jake Alu.
A-L-U.
And that to me sounds like when you are playing like Madden. I think you probably do this in MLB The Show too. But like in Madden, I would just like simulate like 20 seasons.
Oh yeah. And you just get rando names.
And you just get like the generic white guy first name with the ethnic last name.
Yes.
And there you go. It's Jake Alu. Candelario, it's a really bad lineup. This is a really, really, really bad lineup. But he is going to hit 4th or 5th, likely in the lineup. He's going to play every day. It's a great part change. He is the perfect draft champions guy. Right?
Especially at this price, and it's going to go up, like we just said about guys
absolutely
signing.
Will, yeah.
But even if it goes up 100 picks, do you know where he would be? And if you haven't looked it up yet, if he went up 100 picks, Jeimer Candelario would still be 466. He's at 566 right now. He is an afterthought. The league or the market has quit him. They do not care. You put him up to 466, he's in between Kyle Farmer and Brett Beatty.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's going to move up that many picks, but even if he does, that's still very affordable. I'm in. I'll take a shot. Why not?
Yeah.
It's a reserve pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I think he's the perfect guy for draft champions.
Yep. Jeimer Candelario, new Nat. Take a look. Definitely a price to buy. So if you liked him at any point, I think you jump back in.
Absolutely.
Carlos Santana, going to go play with the Pirates. He's been doing his kind of crummy team tour. I mean, I know he played for Seattle last year. They're not crummy. I'm not roasting them. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I thought he played for another crummy team in between Philly and KC, but he went back to Cleveland and they were good. So no, that I'm wrong on that. It's just KC. But he does go from KC, played a little bit with Seattle last year where he did bounce back a bit. But now he goes to Pittsburgh. We know he can still take his walks, right? The patience is still there with Carlos Santana, but that's kind of all there is. There's a little bit of punch, again, that he kind of recaptured with Seattle. He had a 208 ISO with them after posting a 125 with KC. So he winds up for 174 on the year, which was a 3-year high, 14% walk rate, 17% K rate. The thing of it is, when you see a plate approach like that, you usually say, hey, this could be a good batting average type of guy. He's 37 this year, so he gets no infield hits. His BABIPs have always sucked. There's no average here. It's OBP and some punch. I think it has to be a pretty specific league for Carlos Santana, specifically on that OBP. You got to have OBP as a category. But what do you think of Carlos Santana as a Pirate? Does he play every day out there?
Not if he continues to struggle the way he has against right-handed pitching. I mean, I had it a second ago. He had 178 against righties.
Jeez.
He had 265 against lefties. He's a lefty killer. What are the Pirates doing?
I don't know, dude.
Like
I just really
I don't know that Lewin Diaz is good or Ryan Velade is good.
Lewin
Diaz is good or Ryan Velade is
but they signed Ji-Man Choi. Or they traded for Ji-Man Choi. Like,
oh yeah, Santana's not playing the field. He's the
no, he's DH. But like, why? Why would you get a perma DH if you're Pittsburgh?
No, I don't know. This
is a stupid deal.
Yeah, this feels like they want to try to let him play and see if he can be anything in the first half.
You're not going to get shit for him, though.
You might get like a low A reliever.
What did KC get? Let's see. Hang on. Let's see what KC. Because remember, they got Will Fleming and Wyatt Mills. I remember that Santana had like a little surge right before he got traded. And it was like the perfect time because then Ty France got hurt. Seattle needed a guy. It was the perfect storm. And Wyatt Mills is a major league reliever. He ended up, getting 20 innings for KC. I guess maybe it's just because I'm a little bit of a Lewin Diaz honk. I would just play him. This is a dumb move for the Pirates. They're so stupid.
I
They got Miguel Andujar too. Why not just play him every day at DH?
Yeah, especially because he's probably the short side of the platoon, which is where
Santana
is going to play. So
this is a stupid move. I'm sorry, I have no interest in him in any league format right now. Even OBPs. I've been a Santana guy throughout his career. He's awesome. He's an OBP guy, and I'm a stats nerd. But he's 37. I'm done. I'm all good on that.
If I'm reading Sport Track right now, he's got the third highest annual salary on the Pirates.
And it's signings like this to where they like pay lip service to, hey, we made some moves. It's like, cool. Why? Why did you make this move? Yeah, Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds.
Now with the draft being like a lottery-esque type thing, like why even like tank? Like if you're gonna pay $7 million to someone, like there's like Trey Mancini's gonna get like $7 million. Bring in Trey Mancini.
Yep, something that has some upside here. I'm sorry, I know we're bagging out on Santana here, but this makes no sense for a team like Pittsburgh. It makes no logical sense. Especially after getting G-Man Choi and claiming Lewin Diaz weeks earlier.
Yeah.
What are they doing? So, again, I don't want to beat the dead horse on it. I think we've said our piece here. We're not paying the price.
Even worse than like spending the money is taking up a 40-man spot.
Yes.
For a guy
especially with their system.
Or the major league roster. You have guys that could just be utility guys that are worth taking a look at and seeing if they are part of Diego Castillo.
That's exactly what I was going to say. At this point, he is penciled.
G1 Bay. Are you sending both these guys back down to the minors so you can have Carlos Santana be your DH?
Yeah.
Good on Carlos Santana.
Get your bag. Get your $7 million. But it defies logic, and I think it's really stupid.
And so I got a question, in my chat yesterday about Andy Rodriguez, and whether or not he was going to be up early this year. It's still the Pirates.
Oh yeah. So we don't know. He's an interesting catcher with really sharp plate skills, right?
Yes. And I think he will be a very interesting catcher. I don't think he's gonna be a star or anything like that, but I think he's gonna be a guy that does just enough at everything and won't hurt your batting average, which I think is even more important. But in that park, I don't think he's got a massive amount of power or anything. But there are a lot of people who are really excited about him because he is ready. He's still not going to be up before Memorial Day.
Probably not, given them, and he did only have 6 games at AAA. So I could see
they held O'Neill Cruz down until mid-June.
In fairness, his plate approach was disastrous.
But he'd also come up to the majors and just rake for 10 days.
He did hit in the sample that he had.
And they knew sending him down wasn't going to change the plate approach.
No,
he is who he is. He's a 30-30 guy with a 220 batting average. I love O'Neill Cruz.
You just got to let him play. But no, I'm with you on Indy. Be careful getting too excited for him. Now, draft champion season is what we're in, and you probably need 4 catchers unless you go high. 3 is the minimum for me. I'd be okay drafting him as my 4th.
I still wouldn't.
He's 470 off the board.
There's too many catchers. And that doesn't even include Shea Langoliers and Morales and these guys who
the guys going after him aren't very good. Luis Campos.
What's his
Jacob Stallings? He's 470 ADP.
Yeah, but what does that put in the catcher?
32.
Really?
He could be.
Wow, he's
pretty heavily influenced by the 300 that he has too.
Yeah, that may be. He's going way too high. Give me Campusano, Navarez, Mejia.
Why Mejia? Why?
He's going to play.
No, he's not. He can't catch.
Doesn't matter. He's got the C in front of his name.
I don't think they're going to play him that much. Give me
Jacob Stallings.
Why?
Higashioka,
maybe.
Maldonado's going to be a everyday player somewhere.
No, you do not want Maldonado over Andy Rodriguez. Disagree.
Give me Matt Dice, Tucker Barnhart,
No.
Simi Savala.
No. You didn't even say one of the guys I actually would take, which is James McCann.
PJ Higgins. James McCann, I think it's fine. Yeah, no, I'll take all those. Like, he's not going to be up until like mid-season, and even then, like, the upside isn't
maybe you don't know that
the holding a zero.
You are that is your guess. That is not stone cold. They only have Ali Sanchez right now. You know,
board bet it right now.
Absolutely, put it in.
He will
before Memorial Day.
Yeah, he will not be up before Memorial Day.
Yes, he will. Put it up.
Right. This is like the saddest board bet ever. And it's really not, because we will make way sadder ones. But
oh yeah, we absolutely will. But they'll be fun. They'll be very fun. Let me. I just refreshed trade rumors. We're going to do another hour on the show because the Angels just signed Jonathan Holder. And we got to do a huge breakdown of Jonathan Holder going to the Angels. No, actually, I don't see any other moves. So I think we'll go ahead and cut it here because we're going to be talking starters on Friday, and we'll be going crazy on that.
Yeah. Do you think that all these kind of minor signings, and I don't want to say José Abreu is a minor signing. I don't think he's a minor signing at all. But we're seeing a lot of early action. Do you think this is just like the trickle before the dam explodes? Because I feel like by Christmas, we're going to get all the major guys signed. At least I'm hoping.
Ooh, I hope you're right on that. I don't know about all of them. I think...
or at least a fair share of them.
I think a big chunk is going to start to fall off here, right? Winter meetings are going to happen soon. And, Rule 5, not that decides a whole bunch, but that'll get some more roster settling. I think we're going to start to see some moves coming up here. I don't think it's going to be like a few off seasons ago when not the lockout one, but the one where everything just took forever. The studs weren't signing until like late January. I think we're going to get a normal one, which means a big flood of moves should happen in December before the holidays. I agree with you there. So yeah, I hope it is a little bit of the calm before the storm here. We're getting a little trickle here and there. I'm ready for the spigot to be turned and let's get a bunch of moves. I want to be writing up fallout pieces, like what's the fantasy fallout to these? I want to be writing them left and right. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
I don't know that I'm going to do a draft guide this year, but writing draft guides with guys unsigned is just awful. Like, it's just
nightmare. You just have to keep writing the same thing. It just depends on where he goes. And you feel repetitive, but you have to say it because then the first time you don't, they're like, oh, I guess he likes this guy no matter what. It's like that type of thing. So anyway, great talking with you. We got some impactful moves here, but I'm ready for the big impact. And obviously, if some come between now and Friday, we will still talk about those ahead of the pitchers. But we're going to focus on starting pitchers, particularly your ranks and your projections. And I want to talk some theory stuff too, because we were talking about, what do you do when your projection that you believe in the numbers, but it jumps a guy to a rank that you're like, whoa. Do I want him this?
That's the magic question.
Because we will answer it on Friday. We're not going to get into it. But that
you and I were talking about this prior, like first half hour before we actually started recording. And there were guys that jumped or fell. And I went, and it was shocked me.
I know because when you put numbers to it, that's the thing. We say this a lot about making lists. Like when you disagree with the list. By the way, I'm fine with people disagreeing with my lists and going back and forth with me.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like, now make your list. It's easy to critique a list, but then when you got to start listing them, it gets tough. And so I think this is a whole thing of I feel this guy should be ranked here, and I feel this guy should be ranked here. But then when you put numbers to it, that's when shit really gets real. And I'm eager to see how you've dealt with that with some guys that have skyrocketed, some guys that have plummeted, and how you're dealing with your favorites. And if you did project 210 innings for Andrew Heaney the way I believe you probably did. But we'll discuss that on Friday.
We'll talk about Andrew Heaney for sure, because he's definitely higher than he probably should be on in my projections and on my ranks. Big shout out to Tanner Bell, though.
Yes.
Tanner Bell does this software, or it's not even software, it's a spreadsheet. It's an Excel sheet that you can download any projections, even your own projections, into him, and he will do all the SPG work for you.
Standings, gains, points. Yep.
Yeah, to get your your auction values. You can change your league settings, and he has made my life so much easier. It's $17.
SmartFantasyBaseball.com for $18, $17.99.
17.
Absolutely worth it if it's something that you're interested in. Even if you don't want to do like a whole ranking set or projection set, you can go in, you can put Steamer, and you can make a few changes to the 50 guys that you care about the most, or things like that. Like you can do whatever you want with it.
You can also do like an ATC, which is an aggregator of multiple projection systems.
Yep.
So you can put, the bat in, you can put Steamer in, you can put depth charts or zips, things like that, and then have it average and weight different ones differently to get what you think is the best one. So it's a
great tool.
And $18 is just such a cheap price. So yeah, smartfantasybaseball.com for that. They also have a points league one for those of you in points league. So
yes, and if you haven't gotten the process, the book that
Jeff
Zimmerman's book, it's going to make you a better player. Just flat out, if you're looking for things, I don't know what to put on my Christmas list. I always buy myself whatever I want. Put The Process by Tanner and Jeff and the Baseball HQ Forecaster. If you're not getting those already and you're looking for ideas to give a loved one to get you for a gift, get those two things and throw the spreadsheet on there too. That could be a gift at $18. It's a gift that's well worth its price.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Big shouts to Tanner Bell and Jeff Zimmerman on that stuff. Excellent. And I've been loving messing with the with the sheet because I bought the book last year. I read a lot of the book last year, but I didn't have the sheet. And this year I've been messing with the sheet, and it's been a lot of fun.
And the sheet works as a live draft tool. So, I used it for my main event in Vegas, and for some of my other, I think my Tout Wars draft as well. So,
you will get a ton of usage out of it.
Yeah, it's $17 is or $18 is a steal.
I completely agree. So go support that, smartfantasybaseball.com. We'll be back Friday, and the U.S. just scored a goal right as we're leaving here. But I think he got kicked in the nuts. Well, it's worth a goal, right?
You know what? Sacrifices have to be made for glory.
Because that's how they have to win to advance, I believe.
They do. Is it 1-0?
Yeah, it's 1-0.
Okay.
Literally, as we're signing off here, they score. So
yeah, I could not care less about soccer.
I've been a modest. I'm a very
I'm
casual.
all for just like unabashed and senseless patriotism.
Yeah, exactly. This might be offsides though. They're saying that. I don't know. Anyway,
was there a yellow flag thrown? That's usually
it's a yellow card, not a yellow flag. No. Don't start this. Don't start with the soccer people. They will eat you alive.
They're vicious, man.
They'll eat you alive.
Like I haven't made any jokes on Twitter because I'm afraid of the soccer.
Yeah, you will get got. I like soccer. I don't understand all of it, but I am a relatively new fan. The last decade or so, I've kept.
I really like an explanation of how Wales is their own team, and
that I didn't really understand either.
England,
both in the same pool too, right?
Yeah,
it's like didn't we just play England twice then? Right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
that'd be like Massachusetts getting their own team in the U.S. I know that it's the United Kingdom and they're each their own separate entities and stuff like that.
But then why didn't they all get their own team? I don't know. Maybe someone can explain that.
Well, I think they all do, but not all of them qualify.
Oh yeah, that's true. So there's an England national team, and then there's one for each of
there's Scotland and North Ireland and
Wales, and then is there one more? Oh man,
you would think as a history, the history degree would know this.
Both of us are failing.
I believe it. I'm sure there's more. Like it's Scotland, Wales,
England, Scotland, Wales, and North Ireland. We got it right.
Okay, all right,
we got it right. Okay, let's stop embarrassing ourselves. Let's talk Friday, starting pitchers. I'll talk to you then. I hope you feel better. By the way,
thanks. Take it easy.